famous tech CEOs you don't want to work for. Hello and welcome back to another video here on UpTech channel. We adore the rich and famous tech CEO around today. However, the reality is very different for those who are inside. By inside, we mean those who works for them. They know how bad and the ugly sides of the CEOs, which are the two sides we on the outsides do not get to see very often. We only see the good. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the bad sides of the working with the CEO from Jeff Bezos to Elon Musk. Stay tuned. Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos has a very high standards he expects every Amazon employee to meet every single time. Amazon insiders will tell you that if Bezos ever forwards an email to you, you had better find solutions to it, or else you may find yourselves in deep trouble. There are actually many ways to piss Jeff Bezos off. However, whichever one you use, he would fall into what his employees call nutters, which involves him screaming and saying some unkind things to you. Jeff Bezos often ridicules his employees by asking or making suggestive questions and statements. He has asked people questions like, "Are you lazy or just incompetent? I'm sorry, did I take my stupid pills today? And why are you wasting my life?" On other occasions, he has told people, "We need to apply some human intelligence to this problem." And this document was clearly written by the B team. Can someone get me the A team document? I don't want to waste my time with the B team document. Yes, you don't want to face Bezos when he's in a bad mood. Elon Musk. Next, we have another billionaire CEO and a supposed competitor of Jeff Bezos according to some sources. Tesla employees avoid passing in front of Elon Musk's desk because he could fire them for no reasons. However, it appears that we may have underestimated how vicious Elon Musk could be. People familiar with the CEO have described him as a destructive but highly localized tornado that causes problems for everyone. Elon Musk is notoriously infamous among Tesla employees for his fondness for changing their jobs without notice. Things are no better for SpaceX employees who are used to his quirks and lack of emotions. He once yelled at several executives before a party right in front of their spouses because someone was lagging behind on a part of a future rocket. Steve Davis, who is one of the SpaceX Blast employees, experienced Musk's lack of emotions when he helped develop a part that cost $120,000 from a third-party contractors for $3,900. He sent an enthusiastic email to Elon detailing what he considered his greatest achievement at SpaceX. Elon Musk replied him with a two-letter word. Okay, yes. Very ungrateful, we should say. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was infamous for insulting, harassing, and intimidating his employees. He was harsh, quick to lose his temper, and would publicly scold anyone the moment they stepped out of line. Several top executives like Rob Johnson and Allison Johnson even left Apple because they could not tolerate being around him. Steve Jobs had a thing for rules, which he expected everyone to follow the latter. Anyone who attempted to break the rules or do something different was fired on the spot without questions. This, you will all agree, is contradictory for someone who always parked in spaces reserved for physically challenged. Steve Jobs also had a thing against clarifying himself. He believed everyone should understand whatever he said without asking for further explanations. Jobs ridiculed employees who defaulted him on his unwritten rules. He would often raise concerns about their intelligence or even outrightly fire them instead of clarifying himself. Evan Spiegel. Next, we have Evan Spiegel, the CEO of Snap Inc., which owns Snapchat. Employees says he runs Snap like a dictator, leading to a toxic and cutthroat work culture they compare to swimming in a shark tank. For starters, Evan is too secretive and never listens to advice. He is also fond of making employees do work they are untrained for, before turning around to fire them for being incompetent. Employees also accuse Evans of opening a system of favoritism, which encouraged them to engage in office politics to earn his trust and become a member of his inner circle. Unfortunately, not everyone works this way. Many top Snap executives have even resigned because they could not cope with the CEO. Fortunately, it appears Evan knows he has leadership issues and may be working on improving himself. He once engaged a management coach and conducted a survey where he asked employees for ideas on how he could be a better CEO. Larry Ellison. If you think most of the CEOs on this list are annoying to work with, wait until you meet Larry Ellison, the former CEO, current chairman, and co-founder of Oracle. Ellison is infamous for publicly ridiculing his business partners and rivals. Unsurprisingly, he is no better with his employees, especially his top executives, who are always at the receiving end of his eccentric behavior. For instance, he was fond of arriving late to meetings. By late, we mean he arrived an hour and 30 minutes behind schedule. Another executive even named him the late Larry Ellison because of his habitual lateness. Ellison was also fond of firing his top executives just before they became eligible to receive the stock options stated in their contracts. This made a journalist compare him to a juicer that extracts extract the juice out of the people before dumping them. If you think Ellison could not go any lower, wait until you hear that he also fired top executives the moment they became powerful and influential enough to replace him. One peculiar case was Ray Lane, who once saved Oracle from bankruptcy. Ellison fired Ray because Ray was beginning to attract the attentions of Oracle's shareholders. Mark Pincus. Mark Pincus is the former CEO, current chairman, and co-founder of the internet gaming company Zynga. Employees have described him as a controlling and fearsome person who created a not-so-ideal workplace at the same time he was the CEO. Pincus is probably aware of this too, which was why he hired a consultant to help him with what he called emergency likability intervention. However, he may also have been unbothered about whatever effect his management style had on his workers. While talking about his former jobs as a management consultant back in 2010, he said, "I went out of my way to tell people they were stupid if I thought they were." He then added, "People loved me or hated me." It appears he wanted to replicate the same thing at Zynga. Pincus first hit infamy in 2010 when he forced employees to hand over their stock just before Zynga went public. He later returned a fraction of the stock. However, what he gave back was so small that his employees considered it an insult. Pincus' reign of terror, as his employees called it, ended in 2013 when shareholders elevated him to the post chairman in an attempt to disengage him from actively running Zynga. People were so glad about the news that the company's stock appreciated right after it was announced. Elizabeth Holmes. Rounding up this list is Elizabeth Holmes, the former's youngest self-made female billionaire who is currently worth $0. Her downfall is tied to the failure of her tech company Theranos, which she claims was going to build a machines that can detect series of health problems from a pinprick of blood taken from the finger. Former employee says Holmes ran Theranos like her personal empire. She expected them to work 16 hours a day every day of the week, just as she did. She even shifted dinner time to 8 p.m. just to keep them at work, while her boyfriend and chief operating officer Ramesh Balwani closely monitored the time everyone signed in and out. Holmes and Balwani were also ridiculously secretive and controlling, giving rise to a toxic and distrustful work culture. However, this was not enough to stop Holmes from extending her madness to visitors, who were required to sign non-disclosure agreement before entering the facility. Security guards followed them around throughout their stay, even when they went to the bathroom. Holmes' downfall began in 2015 when a reporter, John Carreyrou, revealed her supposed machine did not work. Holmes initially denied this, but her sham was soon exposed. She was charged with fraud and forced to enclose Theranos. Meanwhile, analysts has reviewed her $4.5 billion wealth, which was based on her stock of the now failed Theranos, down to zero. So that was a quite interesting list, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.